Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I am so excited about my guest today. I can't even tell you. This is Victoria, and she channels dragon energy, and I'm going to let her tell you all about it. Victoria, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Dee. It's absolutely lovely to meet with yourself. Yes, and as you correctly said, I'm an elemental energy specialist and mentor for people in their lives and their businesses. But I work primarily with dragon energy. I work with other elemental energies too, but the dragons just have a special place in my heart because they've been connecting with me since I was 12 years old, if not slightly before that. And they are just such a strong, powerful, beautiful force of light energy. They truly have people's best interests at heart. And sometimes that can look like a bit of a rocky road when you're releasing trauma and things that you've buried deep within inside yourself and held on throughout the centuries with. But overall, they honestly just want what's best for everyone. And that's one of the primary reasons I love to work with them.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing because, it just takes me back to when I was a kid and I wanted to be a princess and I imagined all these amazing things happening. And, you have the
Yeah.
dragons and the fairies and all of those things coming in. So it just kind of takes me back to my childhood to even talk about it. So how did you first get started with the dragons?
With the dragons for me, I mean, I woke up very early in life, so I was able to sense spiritual energy around me from the age of 7 onwards. I was able to pick up on what was angelic energy, what was fey energy, and what was spirit energy, just meaning like ancestor energy. But as time went on, there was another energy that was around me at that same time in life too, and it was very unique. It was a stronger energy, but it was so warm, so nourishing, but it did not have the feeling of angelic energy. It was very similar in strength and vibration, but it just didn't have the same frequency, is the way I should probably put that. And then I realized as I was getting older that this energy was coming in more and more, and it was taking over from the other energies. And I was like, this is really nice. And then about in my mid-teens, early 20s, I started speaking to people about it and like, oh, that sounds like this could be dragon energy. That's dark. We don't touch that. And I was like, that is not the energy I am feeling. There is nothing dark about this. This is very healing. It's very nurturing. It's very much a helping energy. And unlike angelic energy, that you have to ask for help, you have to wait for help. The dragons are constantly that backup support team that you've always wanted in your life. They're that support network, them falling into place and out of place as your needs change on a day-to-day basis. So this theory that we have like one personal dragon guardian that follows us through our life, no, we really don't. We have a huge dragon team of between 6 and 38 dragons at any one time in our life that's constantly changing. And then we have four other dragons that would fit that personal guardian category. We have a dragon that is looking over us from our infancy years through to our toddler years. And then it changes out for another dragon that is going to see you through your toddler years, actually all the way through to your teenage years. And then from late teens to early adulthood and early 20s, you have another dragon that is coming with you for the rest of your journey. That is going to be the dragon that stays with you till you hit your 60s and 70s. And that is the dragon that most people fall into the category of that's my personal dragon guide, because that's the one that I'm conscious of meeting. And yet there is another dragon that comes in after that that helps us in our declining years to still live life as fully as we can, but accept with grace the limitations our body's starting to put on us. Because it doesn't matter how healthy you eat, it doesn't matter. It does when we're in that prime age group, but you know, later in life, there's only so far that our body can keep going.
Yeah, we do have changes. And it's interesting you brought that up because I am a firm believer that taking care of our physical bodies is super important because some of the
Yes.
limitations we experience when we get older are because we
Yeah.
become sedentary and we don't do the things that keep our body strong like we
Yes.
used to. So I feel like we do
Yes.
have kind of a personal responsibility in that way to
Oh,
take
absolutely. We have
take
that
care of our
personal
physical bodies.
responsibility.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's really cool to know that there's a special dragon that comes in at each stage of our life that will help us through. And so, how does that work? What do they do exactly? Because I know people that are listening that maybe have not explored this topic before, and I may be one of those. I'm open to so many things, but I haven't
No
really
worries.
explored the dragon realm deeply before. So, how do they do that? What is it exactly that they're doing to support us through these different phases?
Okay, so for every dragon, it's like if you go back to the angels for a second, you have the five main archangels, I should say, and they each have a different speciality. All of the dragons have a speciality. And the more you dive into the realms of the dragons, you'll find that there's dragons connected into the angels, to the archangels. There is dragons connected into crystal energy. There is dragons connected into all of the four elements, like you would expect, earth, fire, air, water. And then you have galactic dragons as well. So the world of the dragons keeps on expanding all the time because we're getting more knowledgeable about it. We're exploring it more and more. And thank you to beautiful people like DJ Conway, Diana Cooper, and many other fantastic names that have come on, and we're seeing a growing wide population. The dragons can help us manage our mental state of being. They're amazing at helping with issues like mental health, anxiety, depression, all and panic disorders. They're really good at having that deep, calming influence. So if we wanted to work on something like that with someone, the first dragon that's going to come to mind is a black dragon. Now, black dragons, and I always say this to people, don't just get fixated on colors, get fixated on how that energy feels. For a black dragon to come in with beautiful yellow eyes is a very calming influence. They slow time down. They help you regulate your breath. They help you calm your mind and put things into perspective for you. This is also a dragon that I'm going to call in that if someone's just had a major operation, and this comes back to the personal responsibility thing we were just talking about, if they've had a major operation and they're starting the long line of physiotherapy and other things to get back to the new normal for them, and they're trying to rebuild muscle, let rest and let bones grow, all these things, depending on what the issue is, then Black Dragon is the one that I would have around that person in a bubble all the time. Here's why. This is a dragon that is going to help you slow down. This is the dragon that's going to help you get through that day-to-day list of challenges. But when you need to rest, is literally going to put like pull the cord out of the wall and say, "That's it. You're cut off now. Time to rest. Let's let those muscles recover." And it's as simple as that. Then you have dragons that will work with you on a DNA level. They're activating long forgotten strands. They're helping you digest and reactivate soul memories, soul lineages, calling in soul family, which is great when we're speaking about matters of business. You know, we're calling in those dream clients with that. There is many different areas these dragons can help you with. Some of it can be chakra work, some of it can be cord cutting. And that's a very basic thing for the dragons to do. And I think that's where a lot of people, a lot of healers I met initially, they see the dragons come up in a cord cutting session. They went, "Oh, brilliant. I'll just call in that dragon next time I call cords." And it never goes further than that because that's what they're comfortable with. And yet we have these dragons that are being around us all the time saying, "Hey, we need to go across this person's timelines. We need to go back to the ancestral lineage. We need to go back to the elemental, the galactic, the starseed lineages, and pull these pain points out of all of it to make a physical difference in their body." I've helped people with like tennis elbows, shoulder injuries, and bigger issues of early Parkinson's, skin issues, and much more. And it's just by literally removing the trauma, removing the pain points, clearing out the body, and then going down to the cellular level and doing the same. And it looks different for every person because every person has their own unique viewpoint. Everyone has their own unique vision of what wellness looks like for them.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. Very, very true. We all have our different paths in life that we walk, and uh, it does look different. And none of it's wrong. That's what, I think is so
No,
cool. I love the idea because I'm super drawn to galactic anyway. I call them universal beings. So
yeah.
what does that look like? I mean, is there because I'm so curious about stuff. Is there visual difference and their energetic difference? Is it profound or is it very subtle?
It depends. When we speak about, I'll speak about this in two ways. When we speak about the dragons specifically, we speak about the dragons that are connected mainly into our solar system. Now, if I was to speak about another galactic elemental being, I would choose the Pegasus and say they're choose into much more of the star system. They're not into the planets. And right away, they both have very different characteristic energy. Dragon energy, when they're connected into the solar system, is a very strong energy. And depending on the dragon that you are working with, it can be feel like a breath of hot air hitting you or a breath of cold air hitting you. The further up, they usually find that they're very, how do I want to say this? Elegant. They're very elegant. They're a bit more like, okay, this is a human mind matter. You're looking down too narrowly on the big picture. Here's what's really happening. Let me sit down and tell you about it, is kind of their energy. One of the beautiful dragons, and again, not saying get obsessed with color, but this is just an easy one to remember, is the pure white dragon from Orion. Now, she has wings of light, so she is very unique, but she has much more of a serpent body than a traditional dragon body that we would see in the movies and films. And basically, her energy is to clear away anything that is standing in your truth so you can be a spiritual transmitter for other people around you as well. And that falls into another dragons category because they often overlap, but they're not the same entry point to the same problem. They have different abilities. So you would have the green and gold dragons from Sirius. Now, these dragons are what I call, they're the background dragons. They're not a force for energy, but they're constantly working away in the background, clearing up that stage fright, clearing up any confidence issues, clearing up in, should I share this with the world? Should I keep it to myself? Almost gate unintentional, that's the way I need to put that, unintentional gatekeeping, because you're just not 100% sure if the world is ready for that information quite yet. So you just sit on it for a moment. And this is what this dragon is amazing for. And then we move on to bigger dragons that we'd all have heard of in different times, like Omega dragon, Alpha dragon, just than we've seen in other beings' dynamics as well. So Alpha Dragon is, of course, this beautiful, masculine, divine, healthy male energy. And I'm going to stress that word again, is a healthy male energy. Basically, this dragon's all about shifting things that are no longer in your life. So whenever this guy comes up, I was like, okay, you're going to have Alpha Dragon in your life for the next 2 weeks, and you don't want him to stay any longer than that. So you need to sit up, pay attention to the signs and what is not working. Because the longer he's in, the more chorus and the more overwhelmed you're going to feel. But he comes in for a short period. It's like a sharp shake, and then he's off again to let the others take clear of the mess he's left behind him in the nicest possible way, because it's usually a case of we're ready for this new chapter and you're just clinging on for dear life onto the safety blanket.
Yeah, I've felt that way. It's so interesting. To your point of needing to share information with the world and just not putting it out there. I actually just did a video for my new video series, Dee's Mindful Monday
Yeah.
Musing, and it was
Oh, wonderful.
my very first predictive video that I ever put out there. And I had been having dreams and getting messages for a few weeks. And, like, you need to put this out there. You need to put this out there. And I was like, yeah, maybe, I know it's important, blah, blah. And I didn't do it. And then it was like, okay, like now is
Yes.
the time you need to do
Now
it.
you have to do it, so get it out there.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
I think that
did.
with a lot of spiritual and heart-led business owners, they're like, is my tribe really ready for this? Are they ready for me to show up this authentic way? And
Yes.
then some people take it to another level and they go the opposite route. It's like they'll share everything and everything. So the tribe ends up very confused. So it's a case of finding that balance, but doing it in a way that feels completely real for yourself. I think one of the best business coaches I had way back in the beginning of my journey was a lady that said, you know, your clients are really like you. They're going to have the same outlook in life. They're going to even maybe have the same taste in music. They're just going to find your energy so interesting that they'll want to work with you. And that is the way we will attract most of our clients, most of our friendships, most of family relationships that we choose in our chosen families, not all our blood families, but our chosen families. And that's where we make the most interesting bonds and tales in our life, is from those chance encounters with these people.
Yeah, I love the chance encounters. I really do. I met this
Yes.
guy at the flea market, actually, in one of my friend's shops, and she had told me about him before. And I asked her, "Well, did you ask him this? And what about that?" And she's like, "I don't know, Dee. I didn't ask him those questions." And I'm like, "You got to get the story. What? Why are you not asking these questions?" And so one
Yeah.
day I came in there and to hang out with her for a little while, and this guy came in. And I was like, "Hey, do you, started talking to him a little bit, and then I was like, "Hey, I'm really interested in your story. Do you mind if I ask you some questions?" And he was very open, and I could tell at first, though, that, I mean, because you come across so many people that just think you're crazy when you talk about certain things. And
Oh,
he was
yes,
telling this
absolutely.
story
Especially,
about this person that he was hanging out with and was, he would ask him every day, "Well, what are we going to do today?" "Well, I don't know. What do you want to do today?"
yeah,
And then I stopped and I was like, "Wait a second." Because the way he talked about it was like he had this friend come over, right? That was staying with him.
yeah,
And it was a friend of his that was just, they were talking about this every day. But I was like, I knew I
yeah.
was missing something. So I go back and I
Something,
was
yeah,
like,
something wasn't adding up.
yeah, I said, "Wait, now who were you hanging out with?" Because he had
Yeah.
mentioned Jesus before. And I was like, you were hanging out with Jesus every day?
Yeah,
And he's like, "Well," and I'm like, "That's who you're talking about, isn't it?" It's almost like he was afraid to
yeah,
admit it at the beginning. And then he said yes. And I was like, "That is so freaking cool." I mean, like, who gets to hang out with Jesus every day? And that's how
yeah.
he lives his life. He does whatever comes up from these conversations with Jesus. So his daily life is divinely led, even though looking at it from the outside, you wouldn't think that's what was happening because it looks very different than what you would imagine a life hanging out with
Yes.
Jesus every day would look like. Because we put these human expectations on this stuff, right? But it
Oh,
further,
absolutely. I mean, if you had said to me 8 years ago that I'd be taking a passion that's been with me all my life to speak about topics like dragons, like fae,
yeah,
like the Kitsu, and many other things, I would have looked at you and said you were absolutely crazy. This was
yeah,
not the path I would have thought. But it got to a place in my life that it was more inauthentic of me to keep ignoring this than to just take the leap of faith and go out and start sharing the wisdom, sharing that, developing my own skills, my own modalities, and how to bring it back around to into people's life to make it normal, to not make it an over complex ritual thing, to make
yes,
it very simple.
yes. I am 100% in agreement with you. It's we overcomplicate so many things as humans. We think it has to be difficult, and it doesn't. It's
Yeah,
not. It's really not. It's just a matter of
yeah,
just allowing most of the time. That's what I find. It's just as simple as just allowing that information to come in and
yeah,
those things to just
yeah.
happen in your life. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, it really is. I mean, once we can get past our own baggage, and for me, sometimes that's emotional, sometimes that's limiting beliefs that we didn't realize we had. And sometimes it's trauma. It's trauma from things that were passed down the generational lineage. Um, but once we get past that and we start to just live our truth and we start to just live and just show up as ourselves, and that doesn't mean we're showing up in a rude way to people. It just means we're being completely honest, open. We're stating healthy, clear boundaries for ourselves. We are showing up in a way that makes us excited to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel like this chore. Like so many people in a traditional sense have a 9 to 5 and they feel like it's an absolute drudging process, that they're just getting lost in a sea. And when you turn up and you make your life about something that's always excited you, always been a passion, and you're sharing the results with others, and then you're seeing them get results, it really gives you this sense of purpose, this sense of joy and pleasure to see them taking those leaps and bounds, leaving toxic relationships behind them and carving out a path that just makes them truly happy. And that is what it's all about at the end of the day.
It really is. There's so much power in that. There really is. It's just absolutely amazing. And showing up authentically is, I used to have a friend who, well, I mean, I have a friend who used to
Yeah.
feel like she had to always be telling people about what she does and what she believes all the time, or else she was being inauthentic. So I think it's a matter of
Authentic. Yeah.
picking our audience sometimes and giving
It is.
information in doses that they can handle, or maybe not at all
Absolutely.
sometimes, but that doesn't make us
Yeah.
inauthentic. Do you find that,
No.
I know this has been in my own personal life, that it can get
Mhm.
really bumpy in life if you keep pushing this stuff to the side? Like, you know that this is meant to be your path, and you're like, no, I'm not
Yes.
going down that path. Have you had that
Yes,
experience?
it can do. You go for a stage and it's usually a huge amount of resistance. That's where I look at it now. When I look back, it was like, oh my God, I had so much resistance to this because I was so scared other people were going to judge me. At the end of the day, people are going to judge you regardless whether you do something that's in alignment for you and the rest of the world or not. You can just keep doing that rat race routine if you like, or you can take a step back and say, no, this is how I want my life to look. This is what I'm going to do, and show up for it. It's it's very natural. And I think there's a huge amount of people that had a spiritual awakening later in life. For me, it was a very natural thing. Although my family, like my immediate family around me, was like, we don't talk about this, we don't do this, we don't speak about it. It's just an oddity, ignore it. It'll go away if you just shut it out. And nowadays, with my own child, I am very much like, this is what we do, this is what we are, this is how you can work with it if you choose to. And they've been working with dragon energy and opened up to spirit since they were 2.5 years old. They're now 9 years old. And they do miniature reads and they have created their own healing system with unicorn energy and everything. So it's fun to see how much in 2 generations we've come along
Yeah.
to change the story, to change the narrative. And yes, when you resist it, it makes so many different things go off in your life. It can be from retaining weight, it can be from just having the wrong set of people around you, and you're diving deeper and deeper down a hole that's just making you feel very lost. I think there's a lot to say for healers always keep going on their own personal healing journey. Healers need support of their own. You're not meant to have all the answers at once. And it is very important to deliver it in bite-sized chunks, recognize who's open to the messages that you're sending out and recognize who's not. So you can maintain relationships with both sides of the aisle.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting that we're talking about this, because I actually just said to Steve this morning, I feel like, because I'm very positive, if you're in a space where you would like to create more peace in your life and you're looking to get out of that more darker, heavier energy, then, because we all have days we need to vent, and that's different. But
Oh,
if you're
definitely.
in that space and you would like to get out of it, I'm like totally the best person to talk to, because I will help you see ways to
Yes.
move into a lighter place that's,
Yeah.
in better energy
I
and going to
mean,
have a more positive outcome. I
yeah.
can't help you stay there in that place, you
Yes, it
know?
gets painful. It gets very painful. Whether it's a friendship or a client, it gets painful to see someone physically just staying in the same place because at the end of the day, they don't believe they're worthy of the change. Or at the end of the day, they believe that their approach is the only approach forward and they're not going to take advice from anyone else. So they can keep ignoring the purple elephant in the room, as I call it. And I'm just like, okay, when you're ready to work on that, I'll be here to listen. And I have listened in my job description, intuitive listener. And that's because I'm listening to the person in front of me, but I'm listening to their spirit teams as well. And I'm listening to what that person is projecting out and saying, okay, we can calm this down, we can relax. I love helping people find the next action step that feels good. to them. It might not always be the action step I would take, but it would be the action step that feels good to them, and then you take it that one step further. It is not a race. You can do it in baby steps and baby chunks, so it feels very easy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so important, because I was just talking to one of my friends and she was saying, I know that the universe is telling me I need to make a move and I need to do this. And I said, just ask your soul, what feels good? What feels good and for my highest and best interest right now for me to do? And it may be something different than what you think. You may be really surprised actually what your first action
Yeah.
step needs to be.
Yes, but I mean, sometimes we can be so in our heads, we can't see all the options because we're so focused on that one outcome, that one goal, that one location. It is a case of when I'm like that, I'm going to call in, like I spoke about already, Black Dragon. And this one will just give me that clarity for that moment in time, just that peace of mind, and I can look at everything completely objectively, completely in a detached way to say, okay, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I need to be speaking about. This is how I need to show up today.
That's so beautiful. So for people who are wondering if they want to play in the dragon realm here
Mhm.
and they're wondering like what if I can't remember what color dragon she said, how am I supposed to get the
Yeah.
help I need? What would they need to do?
If they can't remember a color, but they can remember the energy of the dragon that they are working with. And like I said, it's more important to remember the purpose of the dragons you're working with because each one has a different purpose. So if you can think and sit with the intention of, I want to work on my intuitive abilities, I want to be able to stand, um, how to use my gifts, how to fine tune them. Then we'd be in working with air and water dragons. Now, air and water dragon is again green serpent like long feathery wings instead of reptilian wings. And this dragon will move through the ocean, will move through the lakes, the ponds, the pipe. I've seen this dragon go down the pipes of people's houses to show them that they've got blocked pipes, and then also show them that, their ear chakra is blocked, so they're not hearing their messages right now because they've taken on too much other people's voices and other people's perspectives. So this is a dragon that you can easily work with for that sort of thing. But it is to remember the dragon's purpose. The color, the way they appear is really not relevant. You will, once you fine tune that ability to sit with the dragon's energies, you'll be able to sit and say, "Oh, this is a baby dragon," and you might see the scale color, you might see the eyes, but you'll also know that it was a very masculine, feminine, flamboyant, gay, transgender, because we have that in the dragon world as well. Dragon that it comes through in that energy. You'll know it. It's very simple to know. But when you're beginning and you're just learning and you're just playing around with it, like that first step into the pool of water, then it is better to honestly either work with an oracle card deck or go and get a guided meditation. And that will just help you get the first few steps into that world. It'll set the stage for you so you know what healthy dragon energy feels like and not just call upon something that's going to make you recoil and go, oh my God, that is really big, really scary. How did that happen? What did I do to go? Is everything okay? Yes, everything's okay, but you weren't ready for that level of dragon.
Right.
So the Dragon Decks, the Universal Dragon, I think is a great beginner's guide in the sense that it gives you a real taste of how light-hearted the Dragon Collective as a whole. It is not specific enough a desk to say this is your dragon, this is who's in your dragon team just now, but it's a collective dragon energy first taste to work out how empowering they are, how strong the energy is, and how protective and nourishing they are. That's an amazing deck for someone to just get their feet wet into that deck. When you want to learn about more of the dimensional energies, the elemental energies, the healing properties, the DNA reprogramming, then going on to something more in depth like Diana Cooper on many other books and people out there as well. I've got one on my desk just now, and I'm trying just it's Virginia Calendar. She has an amazing book called Wheel of the Magic Dragon, and she has dragons. Well, she tells you about dragons connected each of the Sabbaths for the pagan wheel. So we've just had one for Mabon, which was the harvest dragons. Now the harvest dragons are all about the loyalty, the sacrifice that you put in to your projects, if not your physical crops, to your projects in your life, to the places you've really spent time and energy in, and you've been able to see the rewards of those energies. Or if you haven't seen rewards, and you're able to reflect and see, well, why didn't it work? Did I really give it all my effort? Maybe not, because I was focusing more on this. Did I get something out of this, but it wasn't the full amount I expected? Did I really get my investment of time back out of this project? And in some cases, no, you didn't. In some cases, you might have had an idea project that never got off the ground because you've got to water it every day. It looks different for everyone. So there's many different layers of this we can play around with. And then if you're feeling even braver, you can go and do something with healing with dragon energy and start to learn about that with someone that can take you through the process that is going to be at a good pace for you.
Yeah, it's very important to find the right person when we're getting into any kind of
Absolutely.
coaching or mentoring and find somebody that resonates with us. And I think that's so important.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the things, like a lot of people out there, I do let's what I call them let's talk sessions. And for me, one of the fun things I do in these sessions with people is I speak about with them what they need, what they're hoping for, see if it feels like an energetic match, and then I'll run energy on them. I will take some dragon energy, I will take some Lemurian light wave, I'll take dragon fey, and I will take fey energy, and I'll just run a one sentence script on them so they can feel the effect in their body and they'll know what is completely aligned for them and what the best fit is for their next step forward. And it might be none of them sit right, and that's absolutely okay. In most cases, though, it's usually dragon energy or dragon fey energy that they go, that was the one. That was the one that sat. I really felt that in my body. I felt something shift out of me. I felt the dragons around me. I felt the air pressure change. That's another good one. Or they're crying, laughing. Just depends on how their body chooses to release that energy for them.
Right. So what's the difference in dragon and dragon fae?
So, dragons are your traditional dragon energy. Dragon Fae is this huge hybrid shape-shifting species that are just completely a mix of most elemental beings you can find. They are the dragons and the Fae, of course, but they also have human energy, they have goddess energy, they have mermaid energy, they have Avalon energy is usually in the mix as well. And they also have, oh my goodness me, my brain has just died. Unicorn and Pegasus energy too. They really do have a right mix of different characters, angelic energy as well. That was the other one I was trying to remember. And they are so unique in appearance. And I love the fact that over the last 5 years, I've seen more people of Dragon Fae lineage come out and speak. And it's like, I have never found someone I could be fully authentic with. I have never felt really comfortable in my body. I've always felt the black sheep in my family. I have been shouted down so many times in my life. I've given up trying to speak, stand up for myself. Dragon Fae lineage usually have a lot of baggage because of, I want to say because of events that happened in past lifetimes to the dragon Fae lineage lines when they were pushed to the outsides of places like Atlantis, Lemuria. They were had their wings bound because they can look very human or very reptilian in their appearances, or they can look human, but they will have different, their skin is not right. It's more flaky. Their ears are long and elongated, or they've got huge, massive dragon wings. So in some cases, they've had to be bound and hidden away. And that's just not something that is acceptable in today's society to keep hiding. And, while we would like to think society's evolved, people still get made fun of for their looks. People still get
Oh,
commented on body shapes and things like that. And while we would like to think we've evolved past a lot of this, it was even worse for them in previous times. It was just stoning, it was drowning, it was you are too odd to be here, we don't want to acknowledge you, abominate, a horrendous energy. But the dragon fae really did retreat. They retreated heavily into the astral realms. They retreated, so they are very shy. They are not going to appear for everyone. They're not going to work with everyone, but they are being talked about more. And sometimes use the word dragon fae, but I know other people have used the words dragonkin and so forth because they see them in a different light. But they'll help you again. I love working with the dragon fae in particular for emotional resilience. They are amazing at helping you shift past painful memories. Amazing at showing you how to be super, I would say stubborn in some ways because they really do get very stubborn about reaching their goals and not letting people push them down.
Hmm.
They really do. It's a case of no, it's not a case of it's my way or the highway. It is a case of no, this is my goal. I'm going to get to it. I am not going to just lie down and die and let people walk all over me.
Right.
They're very firm in those boundaries, but they're also healthy living people. So they are taking care of their diets. They're looking for places, like even choosing their home locations. They need a place that's energetically aligned with them. If it is not energetically aligned, they're much more likely going to take on like a digital nomad situation and outlook to life of keep moving around until I feel comfortable somewhere, keep learning. They've got a bit of that wanderlust to them because they want the life that is most creative and that is going to set them on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. Gosh, a lot of what you just said sounds like me. One of the things I say is like, no one's going to derail this train. The only person that can derail this train is me, and I'm not doing it. So it's full
Yeah,
steam
exactly.
ahead to where I'm going with the what
Where
I'm
I'm going, and
creating.
that's where I'm
So
going, and then I'll make up my mind if it was the right destination once I get there.
things can always evolve. That's what I've discovered, and that's why I
Yes,
actually named my business Eternal Soul Evolution because I feel like we're always able to shift and change things. We don't have to
absolutely.
plays so hard and fast. It doesn't have to be a this or
No.
that situation. So,
And I think for me, one of the things the dragons have taught me time and time again is not to hustle hard, but to step back and just to live my life in the way that feels good to me. Um, and just to show up. It doesn't need to be a stressful thing. Yes, it can be stressful when we live in this 3D world and there's bills to pay and everything else. But it can also be acknowledging the little moments of just pure joy that happens during the course of a day. Make that first cup of matcha in the morning is a saving grace for me and many others around the world, I'm sure. And literally just looking out and seeing the views, literally just enjoying and thinking, I don't need to rush out the door today. I don't need to get from X, Y to here and breaking neck speed. I can enjoy my day. I can set my own time. I can set my own pace. And that's just so reassuring to many.
it is. It is. It's so nice when we allow ourselves to have that, and just
Yeah.
enjoy those little there's so, we've become such a culture, unfortunately, of it has to be this big event, this big like
Yeah.
fireworks display every single time something happens. It has to be like this, I don't know, hyper I don't even know what word to use, but it doesn't. It can be these quiet little moments that, just for instance, like I went to a spring, one of the state parks, it's called Manatee Springs with some friends of mine on Thursday. And my friend and I were just fixing to move to a different table because the one we were at had a lot of sun. And I looked down and I saw these really weird fungi growing by the tree, and they were so
Okay.
cool looking. And I was like, that is
Yeah.
so cool. Most people would be like, neat mushroom, and they would have moved on. But I had to take pictures of it. It
Yeah.
was just the coolest thing. And just
Yeah.
allowing
Because when
ourselves
you
to
see
have those
something,
moments.
yeah, it's when you see something that fascinates you or just hits that, what I call that emotional chord, that soul memory moment inside you. We have a beautiful walk here down in Perthshire that me and my little one go to quite often. But the trees are so high and you feel like you're completely under this canopy. To me, it's one of the most magical energies there. It is calming, it is serene, but there's also the feeling of the forest being very alive, of elemental beings. So for me, that instantly brings me a sense of peace. It instantly brings this area where you can just let the child run and just relax into it and just be completely back with nature. And that is something in its own unique gift because there's many beautiful hidden moments on our day-to-day lives hidden in nature. And so many of us were rushing all the time. We don't stop and look at it.
Right. And it is so beautiful. So since you work with elemental energies and you were mentioning the trees, I think I was running
Yeah.
my words together. I was talking to one of the girls on Thursday at the park, and she was saying that she sees these elementals in the trees. And she was
Yeah.
asking if I've ever seen them. Well, I have seen movements in the trees before, but she said these little guys look like they're mirrored, like almost like they're shiny and they're moving from tree to tree.
Yes.
What do you know what she's seeing? Because I didn't know.
So that sounds like a type of fae to me because you have fae energy. Now, actually, all plant, all crystal energy has a spirit in it that's called a divine spirit. And this is at its core a nature spirit that lives in the object. So this is why one of my good clients and good friends will often go up to trees and put their hand on it and speak to the tree as they do so, is to activate the soul of the tree and to really tap into the memory. So when you see about little shining lights or reflective energy, that instantly brings to mind Fey energy for me. Now you have many branches of the Fae, again, many different galactic energies, but you do have a type of Fae, and I can't remember the name of them for the life of me just now, but you have a type of Fae that is mainly just the caretaker of plants and tree energy. And they are very light reflective, as your friend said. They're quick moving, but they can dart in and out of the tree itself. And they are all about nourishing that tree, keeping it as a safe home for the animals, for themselves, and protecting it in many, many cases.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. She's going to be so excited that I asked this question. I wasn't even planning on it, but sometimes things just need to be said. Oh, I wish you could remember what they're
Yeah,
called, but
definitely.
that's really cool. So
And that's really
beautiful.
nice. I mean, one I work with many different types of fae, as I said, but one of them is called the forest fae. And forest fae are very strong, secretive, heavier energy fae than most of the fae I work with. And the reason I use that is because they can remember a time when humans took over the forest. They came in, they chopped everything down, they caused so much trauma to the forest. So they really are the branch of fae in my mind that is much more, I don't know if I want to share everything with you. I don't, they're much more reserved. But once you show them that you can be trusted, they will open up. But it's a much slower process than working with the wild fae, the crystal fae, or the elemental faes. They will open up right away as long as you're treating them with respect and not being demanding. Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, I demand you help me with this issue. No, wrong attitude. Come and speak
Right.
about the issue in depth. Say why it's important to you. Say why it would make a change if they help you work through this. And then you'll start getting insight. But if you go in and demanding of, hey, I want to manifest £10,000 by the end of the week, they're just going to say, okay, I'm sure you do. Let's see what we can do. And if you don't get it, you're going away, well, that didn't work. Blah, 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 blah. And then you're slagging off the dragons. It's like, well, did you put in action? Did you do this? Or did you just sit back and hope?
Right.
So
Yeah. Divine
it's very
action,
interesting.
right? Divine,
Yes, absolutely.
it has to be.
Personal responsibility, divine action. It's a win every time.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally is. And one of the things that the messages I've gotten recently is to be the gardener of my life and my business, to do those things, those divine action things, water the plants, water my
Yeah.
business, show up and do the podcast episodes and get them uploaded and all of those things, but allow the universe to grow it because It's like forcing a seed to grow. We can't do that. We don't have that power, but we
No.
do have the power to put it in the earth and in the right location and water it and fertilize it and all of the
Yeah.
things. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's really amazing at how they can show up for us and show us and remind us on the daily level in the small actions how much they will support you, how much they will encourage you to make those changes. Because it's so important that we don't just have the inclination, have the intention, and then just not follow through on anything.
right.
And sometimes I think the other great thing is like, but when's it showing up? We get stuck on the when.
Yeah,
We get stuck, we get so frustrated by the saying divine timing. We get so frustrated that, as I already said, we have those bills to pay. It's like, but I need it now. Well, if you stay in the stuck energy of I need, you're going to keep on needing it
yeah,
and it won't show up. Well, if you stay in the energy of I trust, I know it will. I don't know how it'll show up for me, but I know it will, and I know I'll get through this. And then I know I've got to keep promoting my business in the meantime, and I've got to keep showing up. Even if I don't always feel like it, it's fine. Have it if you don't feel like it, have a day off.
right.
But don't come for weeks on end with that attitude to it.
Hmm. Yeah, that heavy energy doesn't move things forward. It's like tying a
No.
rock around yourself and thinking you're going somewhere. It's not gonna,
Yeah.
it's an anchor.
No, it really is an anchor, and it really doesn't get you to your destination, as you said, any faster.
Yeah, it doesn't. So I know a lot of people, and I've heard these tales too myself, will talk about how when you interact with the Fae, I don't know how it is with the dragons, so we can maybe answer this question for both.
Yeah.
Um, that you should leave a gift for them when you are interacting with them. Ask for their permission to enter the forest, these types of things. So, what is your experience and your advice on that?
So my advice is if you're welcoming the Fae into your home and you're trying to build a relationship with the Fae, definitely leave an offering. They're the only elemental that I would say you need to leave an offering in any sort of way. For me, it's a very stereotypical of a little bit of butter, a bit of honey over the top of the butter, and I leave it in an area that is cool, that is calm, that is private for them to just go take the energy out of that offering or melt it down or whatever they need to do. When it comes to walking on grass or like entering a forest, the thing I would say is not so much asking permission, it's like, I mean no harm. I think
Mm,
that's more the intention to go into these places of, I mean no harm. Please let me have safe passage. And you will usually find it's something as simple and holding that intention as you go about on your walk. When you're walking across fields that are not your own, again, it is a case of please show me the right way to place my feet. It's something simple. We can overcomplicate that and say we need to carry this crystal, we need to do protection rituals, we need to do so much. No, simply holding that thought in your mind and staying true to it as you make your journey through those areas is absolutely fine. If you are coming in with a destructive thing and you're throwing litter about and you're way to light fires places you shouldn't, yes, you'll get angry. Energy being thrown back at you. You might trip, you might stumble, but you're not actually going to vanish through a portal. That's not going to happen. The Fae have moved on from that, is the way I want to say it. They moved on from the vanishing portals. You have to be really disrespectful before something like that is happening. But if you go in with the intention of I mean no harm, that'll see you through. Now with the dragons, oh my God, there's so many people that have these crystal skull dragons and they think it's, wonderful the dragons are going to come for that. No, the dragons actually see these just the skulls, not a full-on dragon figurine. A full-on dragon figurine is something completely different. But the skulls to them are like that's Slade brethren to them. That's Slade siblings. So when people and it's been a practice for a long time, and I fully respect that people practice in this way. But the message I've channeled multiple times from the dragons with this is that is not something we want to interact with. We don't want to acknowledge that. We don't want to be channeled in that manner. Channel our eggs, channel our children, channel us as whole beings, but not in that manner. So for me, I don't leave offerings, but I have little dragon statues. I have my dragon decks. I have my dragon books. I have little things all throughout my home that are just little signs for the dragons that they're welcome in my
Mm,
home, that I am receptive to their energy, that I am open, and that they are not going to be judged. You know,
yeah.
it's that sort of true partnership, and that's the way I look at it. It really is true partnership. If I went to a dragon and I was being completely disrespectful, then I'm going to get a whole lot of disrespect in that and probably taught a lesson as
Mm,
well. Probably like I won't be able to find the keys. I won't be able to, when I'm in a rush out the door and need to get to an appointment, I'll have little things happen. But if I am open, honest, I can be in a bad mood with the dragon, say, guys, I'm really annoyed that this is not coming in quicker. I'm really annoyed. I'm doing everything. I'm following your advice. Why? Then go, well, why have you not calmed down yet? Do you think staying in this energy helps? I'm like, no. Like, okay, I get your point. I'll try and be more patient. It's not always easy when we've
no,
got all
it's
these
not.
human emotions and all these human events. It's really not. And no one is perfect at this. Absolutely no one. But it is about maintaining that respect. You know, I always say once you get really comfortable with your dragon team, it's like having your best friends over for a glass of wine. You're venting about the world, putting it to rights in your own way, and then you're getting up and getting on with your day. You've had that moment, you've had that release, and then you're not letting it hang about. It's just, okay, let's get on, and I'm ready for the take on the world again.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love it. I love the idea of having a dragon team. I think that's so cool. Of course, I'm fascinated with all of this stuff. I feel like I have so many things around me, things maybe that I'm not even aware of. And I actually had a reading with a couple psychics in 2014, I think it was 2014 or 2015. And they both told me, they're like, you're so curious and you don't even realize like it's things that other people are afraid of that you're energetically reaching out to and going, oh, what are
Yeah,
you? And they're like, you really
I'm
need to be more
always,
mindful.
yeah, I'm always so thirsty for new knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm always so thirsty to not just take what I know about the dragons. That's why when there's new dragon decks, new books, new things, I'm going to go and look at them. I'm going to see if it's a good match for me. I'm going to see if it's something that is aligned, if it resonates. There's dragon books out there that my team are just going, nope, don't bother. It's got nothing in it that you don't know, or it's going to confuse you from your path, from the way you present it. So just don't bother. And the majority of the time, then they have other ones that it keeps pinging up on my feed. You know, well, there it is again, that title, that book. And yes, let's go and have a look at it. So it's like, okay. When it's happened, I always go by the rule of three. If it happens three times from three different locations, three different people, then yes, I need to sit up and pay attention.
Yes, absolutely. Those recurring themes aren't recurring themes for no reason, right?
Yeah,
That's very cool.
absolutely.
I think this is absolutely beautiful and so fascinating. And it's such a different take on the spiritual path that I've just discussed here on my podcast before. So I'm super excited about it because one of the messages I want to get out is there's no wrong way to do this. This looks different for
Oh,
everyone, and there's
absolutely.
many beautiful ways to explore spirituality and just experience different things. So,
Yeah.
if someone would like to work with you, Victoria, where would they find you?
Well, you can find me on my own website, which is intuitivelistener.store, and you can find me there. But you can also find me on all social media channels as the Intuitive Listener. I'm always listed as an elemental energy specialist and mentor because it's not just the dragons, it's obviously the Fae as well.
Yeah.
Kitsu, Pegasus, Unicorn, Mermaid energies. I work in places that have been connected to the Dragon Fae as well as the dragons. So that works with the Avalon, Atlantis, Lemuria too. There's many different paths, many different points of view you can take into this work. And it's just finding the right one that is most aligned for you in the situation you are in just now. It doesn't matter where you've been in the past, it matters where you're energetically open to going in this present moment and what you're energetically looking to heal. So for people that are brand new to dragon energy, I always recommend jumping on like a Let's Talk call. But I also recommend you checking out my First Flight with the Dragons package because that is Voice of the Dragon collective reading for you to introduce you to make that very fun, calming, enjoyable, but accurate experience of their collective voice. And then, a 30-minute healing session as well with the Dragons of the Universe, which is my own modality, and just getting a chance to experience that too. I think that's super important because it gives you a beautiful big picture of what dragons can really do for you in a short period of time. And then you can work out something that's much more tailored to your needs if you desire so.
That's amazing. I love it. And I will put all your links in the description box below this video so people can reach out to you with just a click. So it'll be super convenient for them. So, are there any last things you would like to share with us before we go today?
I think when I think when it comes to be working with the dragons, I think so many people are fearful of them still, and that just breaks my heart. These are absolute powerhouses of light. They only want the best for you. They're not to damage you, pull you down further, to wreck, to cause trauma. They're here to help you release the things you no longer need in your life. They're here to remove the safety blankets. They're here to help make the next steps of your journey much easier and simpler. And as long as you follow the rule of respect them, they'll respect you. And it can be as simple as that. It doesn't need to be big, overcomplicated, long meditation rituals. It can just be as simple as that.
Yeah, I love that. Simple is so good, right? I love that. So,
Yes.
I thank you so much, Victoria, for being my guest today. And I love this so much. So I'm so grateful to you for agreeing to be my guest. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you've really made me find new ways of explaining things as well, which I'm so grateful for too.
That's awesome. Yay. And thank you everyone for joining us on this episode. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so everyone can learn about dragon energy and how it can benefit you in your life. So thank you so much. And as always, I love you all, and I will see you on the next one.